am Peter Hindle. Jerry Irwin is the other Whaler guy. He's on assignment, not here tonight. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about the NHL and Hartford and what's going on within the NHL chances for Hartford, of course. And we also want to get into a little bit about a column written in the Hartford Courant regarding the Wolfpack, written by Jeff Jacobs, the Hartford Courant's top sports columnist. Today is May 21st. It's warm outside in Hartford, and tonight the Hartford Wolfpack are up in Manchester, New Hampshire to take on the Manchester Monarchs in the Eastern Conference Final. So we'll be looking forward to see what happens with that. We're about a couple weeks left in the playoffs. The Rangers are playing Tampa Bay currently, so you can see some of the Wolfpack players on the Rangers team. Most Whaler fans are rooting for Tampa Bay, of course. But as we look into how the Wolfpack are doing in Hartford, I was at the game last Friday night. We saw about 4,100 people there. The building was incredibly loud. The atmosphere was good. It was, of course, Game 6. The Hartford Wolfpack were trying to close out the Hershey Bears. And I happened to be up in the media section, and I was sitting next to Jeff Jacobs. And on May 17th, just a few days ago, he wrote this column in the Hartford Courant. And in the article, or in the column, he says, that the Rangers are a perfect fit for Hartford. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that tonight, and how, some of it I disagree with, and some of it I agree with. Kind of give you my take on what we're seeing out of the article and what he's saying. And but in general, he basically says, if you look up and down the roster of the New York Rangers, you see people that played in Hartford. It's not rocket science. Of course, we know this because they've been here for 18 years. But knowing that for all that time has not really changed, the attendance in the building. There is a jump this year, but under the Wolfpack brand, the Hartford Wolfpack brand, the team has declined in attendance for 10 straight years. It's 13 years total because there was a 3-year period in the 13 years where the attendance jumped because it became the Connecticut Whale. But after the rebrand was rebranded back to the Wolfpack, the attendance continued to decline in the last 2 years. But this year, attendance is up, and that's what Jeff Jacobs is pointing to. Attendance is up about 400 people a game, which is great. It shows it gets more people into the building, but it's not necessarily because of the Ranger affiliation. There's several other reasons why attendance is up this year, and one being UConn. UConn played 10 games at the XL Center, and as a media credentialed person, I went to the XL Center for all of UConn's games and just about all of the Wolfpack games this year. So I've been to close to 50 games at the XL Center this year. Nothing was louder than those UConn games, especially the November 5th game against Boston College. That was as loud as it gets, and you can see that on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube site, you can see it. Peter Hindle, and you can look up the UConn's first goal and see that video. It's got well over 4,000 hits, I think. But it was just an incredibly loud, louder than Wolfpack. Of course, there was twice as much people in the building. There was 8,089 people in the building, and UConn averaged around 6,000, which is roughly about 2,000 more than the Wolfpack. But the Wolfpack also benefited from Global Spectrum. You got to give your hats off to Global Spectrum. Without putting down any of the predecessors, Global Spectrum has outshined any of the previous manager of the XL Center. AAG didn't come off as too into the hockey. They seemed more into the concerts and shows. But Global, knows hockey. They're of the Flyers, Philadelphia Flyers. That's owners of the Flyers. But they, Chris Lawrence, Ilka Kortesloma, Adam Goldberg, and their sales teams have done just a fantastic job getting groups into the building. Group sales is how AHL runs. That's how you get people into the building. And while these playoff games are still drawing less than the season average on general, it's hard to get group sales for playoffs, and that's why the playoffs kind of dip. But now as we get into the third round of the playoffs, you'll see Hartford Wolfpack attendance jump up again because as they get closer to the Calder Cup. But Global has just done a fantastic job with their sales, with their marketing of the team. They did something that I didn't think I'd ever see was when the Wolfpack got displaced by the circus from the XL Center. They had to go play their games in Worcester, 50 miles away from Hartford. But Global Spectrum was able to get some buses for fans to go to the game. They actually provided the buses free of charge for a couple of buses to go to Worcester and see the game on Mother's Day. So that was pretty impressive, and they're doing it again tonight. Well, actually, maybe not tonight, but in Manchester, New Hampshire, they're providing buses for season ticket holders to go to see the Wolfpack up in Manchester as they play the Monarchs, which is the LA Kings affiliate. Kind of like a rematch of the minor league, the parent club's minor league teams of last year's Stanley Cup. Yeah, so Global Spectrum has done great. UConn has been helpful to it, and you can't forget the renovations. $35 million in renovations. People are curious. They're coming into the building. It's better conditions. The concessions are way better. You'll be able to offer all of the choices at one station. The loge seating is sold out this year. Comes sold out all around. Every seat. So every Wolfpack game, every Disney on Ice, every Pink Floyd concert, every Eagles concert, whatever, all that corporate loge seating is sold out. It's another reason why attendance is up. And also, don't forget the fan bar, which is doing over 50% of its projected income. So that's really impressive, because you're talking about people that put projections on the fan club, and it's doing 50% better than they thought it would. So that's another reason why attendance is up, is the renovations. The other reason is the team is much better. The team is a lot better than they were. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They're in the playoffs. They won a division this year. They pretty much didn't win anything last year. It's another reason. So you got these 4 or 5, 6 reasons that have kind of made the Rangers look like a better fit than they are. I don't disagree with Jeff Jacobs from the standpoint that the Rangers aren't this horrific fit, because they do draw in 140 to 170,000 people. That's a fair, decent number. It's not great. You're averaging about 4,000 people a game. A little bit more now. But a whole generation, 18 years the Rangers have been here. The Wolfpack has been here 18 years. For 18 years, an entire generation has grown up under the Hartford Wolfpack banner. So they're all Ranger fans. They enjoy the Ranger games. That's what they know. They didn't see Whaler games. That's ancient history to them. And if you remember when you were 18, what did you know about the Brooklyn Dodgers? What did you care? So you have to look at it that way. So, if his column was written in another 18 years, and we're talking 2 generations under the Hartford Wolfpack, I would say probably would be a good fit for Hartford. But, you're just not going to convince those Whaler fans out there to go support the Rangers, the Wolfpack. And, I understand from the casual sports fan who's sitting there going, well, it's just hockey. Why can't you enjoy it? Why can't you support what you have? And to ask some Whaler fans that is pretty much like saying, there's one restaurant in your town and it only serves liver and onions, and you complain about wanting a new restaurant, and someone tells you, well, you should just go support the restaurant you have and eat liver and onions, twice a week. How would you be into that? That's how they feel. It's you can totally call it stubbornness or whatever, or resiliency. Some people would probably call it pig-headed, but it's very hard to ask someone to change their allegiance, especially in sports. It's just it's not an easy thing to do. Unfortunately, Whaler fans are going to do that. Not all of them. There's plenty of Whaler fans at games. You see plenty of Whalers jerseys. You always do. You see plenty of Whaler jerseys no matter where you go. And another thing that Jeff Jacobs points out in his column is he says, MSG, the Rangers are only 115 miles from Hartford, but the NHL may be 115 million miles. And I just couldn't disagree with that anymore. Jerry and I have been very active, in the Hartford community. We've talked to a lot of people. The NHL is a lot closer than that. I'll never tell you it's a sure thing. And if you want to say it's a long shot, I can kind of agree with that. But don't tell me there's no chance, because it's simply not true. If this arena plan does not go through, hey, I'll be the first person to say it's not happening. But with that arena plan there, and with the NHL with suffering markets down south, either whether it be Phoenix, Florida, or even Carolina, those teams are going to move. and they're going to need a place. And Hartford, just had a huge market analysis done, showing how much buying power is in Hartford, and that's one of the things I was saying about that younger Wolfpack generation. They're just they're getting into jobs now. They're getting older. They're starting to earn some income. But the Whaler fan base that was displaced 18 years ago when the team left, those guys are all in their they're 35 and up. They're making good income. They're really got the buying power for this market, and of course they demand for the NHL. That's what they want to buy, and you kind of saw that with UConn this year a little bit, because there wasn't many people I saw at Wolfpack games that also went to UConn games, and vice versa, kind of in the same breath. It was a completely demographic that came to these UConn games. Different kinds of people. The Wolfpack was more family orientated, whereas UConn had people that were a little bit older and younger people. People from the suburbs and outside of Hartford more. Those 10 games, UConn drew 40% of what the Wolfpack did this year. So that tells you a lot right there. Jeff Jacobs says it would be a mistake to lose the Rangers affiliation, but it is possible for Hartford to survive on UConn hockey and basketball and women's basketball, because those three teams brought in over 250,000 people into the XL Center this year. The Wolfpack draws about 140, 170, somewhere between there, 1,000. So you could see how big an impact UConn was. And whether you believe it or not, there's a lot of Whaler fans out there that would, will go to NHL games, but they will not go to the AHL. One of the things Jeff Jacobs talks about is this being uncharted territory for him, because I guess he normally doesn't praise the Rangers, but in this article, in this column, he does. He calls it would be a huge mistake looking into the future to lose the Ranger affiliation. This spring has pointed out how comfortably Hartford can fit under the Rangers umbrella. This is playoff hockey. I really don't think it's not really about the Rangers as much as it is about that you have a team in Hartford that's doing well in the playoffs. Had UConn made the playoffs and they just got beat out by New Hampshire, who had beaten them twice. But if UConn had gotten into the playoffs, you would have seen something completely different. I can remember when Jeff Jacobs wrote his column on UConn hockey, and he said, if you recall, and this is just a few months ago, it was November. He said that Hartford was fed a hockey-starved market, was fed a good game, and it really was. And he kind of saw that, I think, with the Wolfpack. I think Jeff Jacobs saw how loud the crowd was, how into the game the crowd was. That's not what you see on a Sunday in November, which I don't know if Jeff Jacobs has been to a lot of Wolfpack games, but I haven't seen him there when there's 1,800 in the building on a Sunday in November. That's completely different. It gives you a better idea. You got to put the good with the bad, so he asked for Whaler fans and Bruin fans, if you're out there, to swallow your pride and come to the Wolfpack games. I kind of echo that statement from the standpoint of just come see hockey. If you want to root against the Wolfpack, that's fine. But I understand that not a lot of people are going to do it. It was not something I did. I missed the first 13 years of Wolfpack hockey because I'll be honest with you, I just wasn't interested, didn't want to get involved. But after Howard Baldwin came back, my interest got piqued in the Connecticut Whale. And I went and started seeing games and got credentialed as a media person for the games, and it's been great ever since. It's I hate to use the same argument because a lot of AHL fans don't like it, but it's hamburger, where the NHL was steak. But there's certainly nothing wrong with hamburger. It's just as good. So excuse me. It's just to point out that I think that our media is kind of misses the boat on kind of the hockey market here. I think they think it's smaller than it is. I don't think they think it is as passionate as it is. And I gotta agree that it is difficult to get Whaler fans off the couches and get them to march in a parade or to come down and take over a section at the XL Center during a Wolfpack game. There's been some of those things that haven't worked out. However, I think that what the problem is that Hartford is there's two kinds of fans. There's smart fans and loyal fans, and loyal fans are going to go no matter what, and you see that kind of with the New York Rangers and MSG. The guys, the place gets filled no matter what. But Hartford is more of a smart fan market. What are they getting offered? What are they getting out of their games? Is the team any good? If the team is good, they're going to show up and pay the money. But they kind of ask for that main event, which one of the things that Jeff Jacobs says in his article is there are few things more irritating than a local yokel sports writer trying desperately to tie the area angle to a major sporting event. And I got to disagree with him there. I feel like there's nothing more pathetic than the media not paying attention to the market and to keeping your ear to the ground. I think that I can understand where you're saying a sports writer shouldn't be selling dreams, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being optimistic and promotional about your hockey market. Jerry and I beat the drum a lot for Hartford, and maybe we do make it sound like it's the greatest hockey market in the world, but it's really not as bad off as people think it is, and it's not it's not a market that can't support an NHL team. What you need is, unfortunately, and you need a new arena, you need good, wealthy management, and I mean wealthy. You gotta have a wealthy management group that can take losses and turn teams around. Hartford really didn't get that, and yet they still were able to support the team. Whaler attendance through horrible years, 26 win teams, and yet the team averaged like 12,400, 600, over its time in the NHL. I kind of disagree with that we have to continue to put ourselves as an AHL market or a small market or a college hockey market. The way I see it is, the way that the Wolfpack are here, and if the CRDA and Malloy and the investment group are unsuccessful in bringing an NHL team here, then what the issue will be keeping the Wolfpack and keeping the UConn or keeping another AHL affiliate. One of the things that Hartford has never had is it's never had another AHL team. So it begs the question, what do you think a new AHL affiliate would do? Would attendance, rise that dramatically, or would it be just about the same? I'm kind of on the fence on that. I don't think it would have this huge impact that a lot of people do. I don't think that suddenly, because the Rangers are not in Hartford, or the Wolfpack's not in Hartford, that people would start to show up to games more. I think you might see somewhere around maybe 1,000 to 1,500 bump, but that's me purely guessing. And if you look out there at the AHL now, 5 teams are moving to the west in the AHL. Worcester, Manchester, they're all gone. So it makes it harder to keep an AHL team in Hartford, and also there's less teams that could move here. The Rangers have one more year on their agreement with the XL Center. They will actually check out if they want to exercise their 2 options, because they have 2 more years if they wish to stay, and I believe the options are theirs. Wolfpack hockey isn't going anywhere right now, but if an NHL team did come calling, the Wolfpack would not be an issue. I see a lot of Whaler fans out there tell me that they think the Rangers are trying to prevent the NHL from coming here, and that's simply not true. The MSG, even if they wanted to, I don't think they could. And I think they want to, they would encourage Hartford to get a team. It's less travel costs for them. And also, they don't have to bail out the team that moved. Right now, the NHL Board of Governors, the team owners, are bailing out Phoenix. They're, bailing out Florida. They're, helping other teams that are suffering. But if you put a team in here in Hartford that's financially sound with a well-backed investment team, they wouldn't have that issue anymore. So they're not going to have an issue with the team moving to Hartford. Plus, the NHL takes territorial rights away from the AHL at that point. So it would be almost like the Wolfpack would have to leave. But that's all contingent on this arena plan, which is what Whaler fans are still holding on to. So when Jeff Jacobs says, why wouldn't we swallow our major league pride? Why can't hockey as a sport rise with the AHL and college together? It totally can. But while this NHL question looms in the air, people are going to be kind of shooting more for the moon than they will be saying, be happy with what you have. That's just how Hartford is. I see it all the time. When you talk about this younger generation that's seeing the Ranger Wolfpack right now, they can't understand why we still hang on to the Whalers when they've been gone for so long, and yet They weren't here to see how the Rangers treated Whaler fans back in the day, and that's another reason why Whaler fans are critical of Bruin and Ranger fans, because they were brutal to the building. So you're looking at two generations that actually didn't grow up together at all. They didn't. There was no bonding. Most of the Ranger Wolfpack fans I meet, they're growing up. I didn't know them. I didn't go to games with them when they were younger. That's where the fractioning of the fan base happens. It's interesting to see Jeff Jacobs take this take. Like he says, it's uncharted territory for him. But one of the things about most of the people don't like about the Rangers also is their affiliation fee. The Rangers' affiliation fee is $1.4 million. It's the highest in the league, and a lot of Hartford fans don't feel like they get much for that $1.4 million affiliation. And the other teams out there that have affiliation fees that maybe half or 2/3 that. So it's expensive for the CRDA to keep AHL hockey. But Michael Freemuth did point out in Jeff Jacobs' article that the losses are less each year, which is contingent kind of with the revitalization of Hartford. So as we look into going into the future with Hartford, right now we're waiting to see what happens with the new arena plan and how that would all tie out. We're kind of waiting for the end of the playoffs, the NHL playoffs, to see if there's another move with the NHL and any interest in Hartford. We have some rumblings, hopefully, that we'll hear something, after the playoffs. And I think that's, to the article's point again, Jeff Jacobs is saying kind of like, give up the dream. But as you can see, that's just not going to happen. It's just not, the market's not right for that. It's kind of like I've attributed it to this metaphor or simile, I guess. It's almost like a volcano eruption. You're kind of asking for all the lava that's coming out of the volcano to cool down, like right now. It doesn't happen. It takes time. It'll be interesting to see if a new AHL affiliation comes to Hartford, if that's possible. There aren't that many out there. There's been a little bit of talk about the New Jersey Devils. They did show some interest in Hartford in, I believe, the 2011-2012 season, when there was talks about the Rangers maybe not signing a new lease in 2013. But the Devils would be the Devils. It would be the Hartford Devils. It would be red and black. And if people don't like the Ranger colors, they're probably not going to like the Devil colors. And while it sounds petty, the branding and the laundry is everything. Laundry is everything. It really is. You put green and blue on just about anything, and Whaler fans go nuts. Same thing except for Ranger fans with the red, white, and blue. It's patriotic. So, but it's going to be kind of difficult to ascertain what the next steps are. But it's pretty sure that the Rangers are not the perfect fit for Hartford right now. But in time, maybe they will be. I know a lot of people are hoping that the Rangers move on to other pastures. There's still talk of Bridgeport moving to Nassau and the Wolfpack moving to Bridgeport. But I still think we're at least a year away from that. And if Hartford was vacated by the Wolfpack, I'm not 100% sure another AHL team would come here based on the building. Freemuth tells us that the building's got 5 to 10 years of life left, and that's for an AHL team to come to a building that's basically dying. That's what makes this arena plan so important, because the building actually is failing. The XL Center is, while it may look fine from the outside, it's still it's got so much bad on the inside, and we've heard rumblings that it's even worse than it is. So whether the AHL stays or the NHL comes someday, the bottom line is if nothing happens to the arena, it may not be any Hartford hockey at all. But we'll keep you updated as we go forward into the future. And from Sargent Street in Hartford, this is the Whaler guys, and you're the Whaler Brigade. Have a good night.